It was a quiet Sunday morning in August 1942, when the people of Daly City, California, looked up and saw something that would haunt them for decades. Out of the fog, a massive silver blimp drifted silently toward the ground, its engine sputtering, its hull battered but intact. As it descended, it clipped power lines and crashed into a city street, drawing a crowd of stunned onlookers. But when rescuers rushed to the gondola, they found it empty. The crew, two experienced Navy men, had vanished without a trace. No distress call, no sign of struggle, not even a clue as to where they'd gone. The blimp, known as L8, had returned from its mission alone, transforming from a symbol of wartime vigilance into a chilling enigma. What happened in the skies above San Francisco Bay that morning? Why did the blimp return without its crew? And how could two men simply disappear in broad daylight, leaving behind only questions and a legacy of fear? This is not just a story of a missing crew. It's a battle between fact and legend, hope and despair, and a mystery that refuses to be forgotten. Stay with us as we unravel the haunting tale of the Ghost Blimp. In 1942, the world was at war, and the Pacific coast of the United States was a front line shrouded in anxiety. Just months after the attack on Pearl Harbor, rumors of Japanese submarines lurking off California's shores were more than just whispers. They were a constant, gnawing fear. Merchant ships had already been torpedoed within sight of the Golden Gate, and every day brought new reports of enemy vessels prowling the deep. The U.S. Navy needed eyes in the sky, and so the humble blimp became a guardian of the coastline. Blimps like L8 were not glamorous machines. They floated slowly above the waves, scanning for periscopes and oil slicks, relaying vital information to protect convoys and cities. Their crews were the unsung sentinels of the home front, tasked with a job that was equal parts routine and perilous. On August 16, 1942, L8 was assigned a standard patrol. Depart from Treasure Island, sweep the waters near the Farallon Islands, and return by noon. It was a mission that should have been uneventful. Aboard L8 were two men, Lieutenant Ernest Cody, a seasoned pilot known for his calm under pressure, and Ensign Charles Adams, a dedicated officer with a reputation for meticulousness. They were more than colleagues, they were friends, bonded by the shared weight of responsibility. Both understood the pride and pressure of their roles. They knew that every patrol was a chance to protect their homeland, to keep families safe, to stand as a thin line between hope and fear. As they lifted off that morning, neither could have imagined that their mission would become one of the most enduring mysteries of the war, and that their names would be forever linked to the legend of the Ghost Blimp. The morning air was cool and clear as L8 lifted off from Treasure Island, its silver envelope gleaming in the early sunlight. For Lieutenant Cody and Ensign Adams, the routine of pre-flight checks and radio calls was second nature. They exchanged a few words with the ground crew, then set their course westward, the city shrinking behind them as they floated out over the restless Pacific. Below, the waves rolled endlessly, hiding secrets and dangers that only the blimp's vigilant eyes could hope to spot. At first, everything was ordinary. The blimp cruised at a steady altitude, its engines humming, its crew scanning the horizon for any sign of enemy activity. At 7:42 a.m., Cody radioed in. They had spotted what looked like an oil slick, possibly evidence of a submarine. The message was calm, professional, just another day on patrol. The Navy responded asking for updates. At 8:50 a.m., L8 checked in again, reporting their position and intentions. Then suddenly silence, no further messages came. The blimp, so visible and reassuring in the sky, became a ghost on the radio waves. Minutes stretched into hours. On the ground, anxiety grew. Had they found a submarine? Had something gone wrong? Families waited, hearts pounding, for news that never came. The contrast was stark. The calm routine of the early flight shattered by a wall of unexplained silence. What happened in those missing minutes? Why did all communication stop so abruptly? The questions hung in the air, heavy and unanswerable. For the crew's loved ones, every second of silence was a lifetime of fear. For the Navy, It was the beginning of a mystery that would defy explanation. And for history, it was the moment the Ghost Blimp began its transformation from a tool of war to an unsolved legend. It was just after 11 a.m. when the people of Daly City heard the low, sputtering drone overhead. At first, no one thought much of it. Blimps were a familiar sight during wartime. Their slow, steady patrols a reminder that someone was always watching the coast. But as L8 drifted into view, something was clearly wrong. The blimp sagged awkwardly, its envelope deflated in places, its gondola hanging at a strange angle. It moved with no sense of purpose, carried only by the wind as if it had lost its will. Children playing in the street stopped and stared. Shopkeepers stepped outside, shading their eyes. The blimp scraped across rooftops, snagged on power lines, and finally crashed down in the middle of Bellevue Avenue, sending a shower of sparks and debris into the air. People rushed to the scene, expecting to find injured crewmen or at least some sign of life. Instead, they found only silence. The gondola door hung open, swaying gently. Inside, the scene was eerily normal, almost untouched. 2 life jackets lay where they had been stowed. The radio was in working order. Parachutes were still packed, unused. On a small table, 2 sandwiches sat half-eaten, as if the crew had been interrupted mid-bite. There was no blood, no sign of a struggle, no evidence of panic or haste. The only thing missing was the crew themselves. As word spread, disbelief turned to dread. How could 2 men simply vanish from a blimp in midair? The Navy arrived quickly, cordoning off the area and searching for any clue, any explanation. But the more they looked, the stranger the scene became. The blimp had completed most of its patrol route, yet there was no indication of what had happened after that last radio call. No distress signal had been sent. No one had seen the crew bail out or fall. It was as if they had been plucked from the sky, leaving everything else behind. The expectation of a routine mission had been shattered. Instead of a safe return, there was only a ghostly vessel and a growing sense that something unexplainable had occurred. The Ghost Blimp had come home, but its crew had vanished into thin air, leaving behind a mystery that would haunt all who witnessed it. The Navy wasted no time launching a full-scale investigation, determined to find answers where none seemed to exist. Teams of officers and experts descended on Daly City, combing through the battered gondola for any overlooked clue. They cataloged every item: the untouched parachutes, the half-eaten sandwiches, the life jackets, the working radio. Nothing was out of place except for the glaring absence of Lieutenant Cody and Ensign Adams. The blimp itself, though damaged from its rough landing, showed no evidence of fire, sabotage, or mechanical failure that could explain the crew's disappearance. Investigators fanned out across the coastline, searching beaches and rocky coves from the Farallon Islands to the Golden Gate. Boats scoured the waters, hoping to find debris, life jackets, or grimly bodies. Planes flew low over the surf, their crews peering down for any sign of movement. But the ocean gave up no secrets. Not a single trace of the missing men was ever found. Witnesses were interviewed, from fishermen who had seen the blimp hovering over the water, to residents who watched it drift, pilotless, over Daly City. Some recalled seeing the blimp dip low, as if investigating something in the waves, but no one saw the crew leave the gondola. No one heard a cry for help, or saw a parachute open against the sky. The last radio transmission had been calm and routine. No hint of distress, no warning of trouble. The lack of physical evidence was maddening. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no torn uniforms, no indication that the crew had fought or fled. The blimp's hatch was open, but that was standard procedure during patrols. The radio worked perfectly, yet it had fallen silent at the crucial moment. What did the investigators miss? What secrets did the blimp hold hidden in plain sight? As days turned into weeks, frustration and fear spread through the ranks. If 2 experienced crewmen could vanish without a trace, what did that mean for the safety of others? The public, already anxious from wartime rumors, was gripped by a new kind of dread. The Ghost Blimp had become more than a mystery. It was a symbol of the unknown, a question that refused to be answered and a story that would not let go. With no bodies, no distress call, and no clear evidence, the disappearance of L8's crew quickly became fertile ground for speculation. Theories multiplied, each more intriguing and sometimes more unsettling than the last. Could the truth behind the ghost blimp be even stranger than fiction? The first and most straightforward theory was that of an accidental fall. Some investigators believed that Cody and Adams, ever vigilant, may have spotted something suspicious in the water, perhaps a glint of metal or an oil slick hinting at a lurking submarine. In their eagerness to investigate, one of them might have leaned too far out of the open hatch, lost his balance, and fallen into the sea. The other, in a desperate attempt to rescue his comrade, could have met the same fate. It was a scenario that fit the facts. The open hatch, the lack of struggle, the blimp's slow, pilotless drift back to land. But it also raised questions. Both men were experienced, trained for emergencies, and the gondola was not especially cramped. Could two professionals really have vanished so easily, one after the other, without a single call for help? Then there was the specter of enemy action. In 1942, the fear of Japanese submarines off the California coast was very real. Some believed that L8 had stumbled upon a submarine, and that the crew had been captured or killed by enemy agents. There were even rumors, never substantiated, of a Japanese sub surfacing and snatching the men from the blimp. Yet no evidence of enemy presence was ever found in the area, and no Japanese records mention such an operation. Still, the idea lingered, fueled by wartime paranoia and the chilling possibility that the enemy could strike so close to home. A third theory, whispered in the shadows, was that of voluntary disappearance. Could Cody and Adams have chosen to vanish, staging their own disappearance for reasons unknown? Some pointed to the half-eaten sandwiches and untouched parachutes as evidence that the men had not left in a hurry. There were even rumors, never proven, of classified missions, secret rendezvous, or intelligence operations gone awry. Perhaps the crew had been ordered to disappear, or perhaps they had secrets of their own. But those who knew the men best dismissed this idea, insisting on their loyalty and sense of duty. And then, as with any great mystery, the supernatural crept in. Stories began to circulate of ghostly encounters, of the blimp being cursed, of the men being spirited away by forces beyond understanding. Urban legends grew with each retelling. Some claimed to see shadowy figures in the gondola at night. Others swore the blimp was haunted by the restless spirits of its lost crew. These tales, while fantastical, spoke to a deeper truth, the human need to explain the unexplainable, to find meaning in the face of the unknown. Amid these theories, a few shocking and little-known facts emerged. The blimp's cargo that day included not just standard patrol equipment, but also a top-secret depth charge, an explosive device meant for anti-submarine warfare. If the crew had encountered a real threat, the stakes would have been deadly high. The last words transmitted by Cody were calm, but some later claimed to have heard a strange, garbled message on the radio, quickly dismissed by officials. And in the years that followed, rumors persisted of classified files sealed away by the Navy that might hold the real answer. Could the truth be more shocking than fiction? Was it a tragic accident, a wartime abduction, a deliberate vanishing, or something stranger still? The evidence is tantalizing but incomplete. The ghost blimp remains a riddle, inviting each new generation to weigh the facts, question the stories, and wonder what really happened in those lost minutes above the Pacific. The mystery endures, not just because of what we know, but because of all that we may never know. As the years passed, the story of the ghost blimp refused to fade into the background of wartime history. Instead, it grew in the telling, each unanswered question fueling new rumors and conspiracy theories. Newspapers ran headlines about the vanishing crew, and radio shows speculated wildly about what might have happened in those lost hours above the Pacific. The Navy's official investigation closed with no resolution, leaving a void that the public filled with imagination and fear. For decades, the case remained a favorite among mystery lovers and amateur sleuths. Some scoured old records hoping to find a forgotten clue in the Navy's files. Others interviewed surviving witnesses, searching for a detail that might have been overlooked. Theories multiplied, each one a reflection of the era's anxieties: Cold War spies, secret weapons, even alien abduction. The blimp itself, L-8, was repaired and returned to service, but it was never quite the same. To those who knew its story, it was a flying question mark, a symbol of the unknown. In recent years, advances in technology have breathed new life into the investigation. Modern sonar and underwater drones have mapped the ocean floor where the blimp's crew might have fallen, but no trace has ever been found. Digital archives have made it easier to sift through old documents, yet the official records remain frustratingly silent on the crew's fate. Some researchers have even used computer simulations to reconstruct the blimp's flight path, hoping to pinpoint the moment when everything went wrong. Still, the mystery endures. Why does this story continue to captivate us? Perhaps it's the universal fear of vanishing without a trace. The idea that even in a world of order and routine, the unexplainable can still happen. Perhaps it's the human need for closure, the ache of not knowing, the hope that one day a new piece of evidence will finally bring answers. Or perhaps it's the thrill of the unknown, the sense that some secrets are just waiting to be uncovered. Could new technology finally solve the case? Or will the ghost blimp remain forever a riddle in the sky? The search for answers continues, driven by curiosity, hope, and the enduring power of a mystery that refuses to be forgotten. The story of the ghost blimp left a mark on American culture that lingers to this day. In the midst of World War II, when the nation craved stories of heroism and certainty, the disappearance of L-8's crew was a jarring reminder that not every story has a clear ending. For the families of Lieutenant Cody and Ensign Adams, the lack of closure was a wound that never fully healed. Their names were honored, their service remembered, but their fate remained a question that hovered in the background of every memorial. Wartime morale was shaped by stories of bravery and sacrifice, yet the ghost blimp became a symbol of the unknown, proof that even the most routine missions could end in mystery. The incident inspired countless retellings, books that tried to piece together the facts, documentaries that explored every theory, and urban legends that grew with each passing year. Some said the blimp was cursed. Others whispered that the crew had become ghosts themselves, forever patrolling the foggy skies above San Francisco. The contrast between the crew's intended heroism and their mysterious fate is what gives the story its enduring power. Cody and Adams set out to protect their homeland, to stand as guardians against unseen threats. Instead, they became part of a legend that continues to fascinate anyone drawn to the mysteries of history. Their story taps into something universal: the fascination with the unknown, the allure of unanswered questions, and the hope that one day, the truth will come to light. For those who hear the tale today, the ghost blimp is more than just a wartime oddity. It's a reminder that history is full of shadows and that sometimes, the most compelling stories are the ones that refuse to be solved. The ghost blimp remains one of history's most haunting unsolved cases, a story that refuses to be neatly filed away or forgotten. Decades have passed since that quiet morning when L-8 drifted back to Earth, empty and silent, but the questions it left behind still echo. What really happened to Lieutenant Cody and Ensign Adams? Did they fall victim to a tragic accident, a hidden enemy, or something stranger than anyone can imagine? Or is the truth still out there, waiting for someone with fresh eyes and relentless curiosity to finally uncover it? This mystery is more than just a puzzle from the past. It's a mirror, reflecting our own fears and fascinations. What would you do if you were faced with the unknown? Would you have the courage to search for answers? To keep asking questions even when the world tells you to move on? Or would you be haunted by the silence, by the possibility that some mysteries are never meant to be solved? There are still secrets waiting to be uncovered, hidden in old files, buried beneath the waves, or whispered in the memories of those who lived through those uncertain times. Will you be the one to solve them, or will the ghost blimp remain forever a riddle in the sky? If this story has captured your imagination, share your theories in the comments below. What do you think happened to the crew of L8? Don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into history's greatest mysteries, forgotten events, and unsolved cases. Because as long as there are questions, there will always be stories worth telling, and mysteries that remind us how much we still have to discover.